Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review we're looking at a real cult classic, the Casio F-91W. Now you can get one of these for about £7 to £10 or $9 to $13, and it is quite possibly the most recognisable and popular digital watch in the world today. Because it's so cheap, and it was released in 1991, and they've sold literally millions and millions of these bad boys. So really you can see them so often, it's unreal. So really good watch to have a look at, to see and ask ourselves the question: is this the kind of watch that literally, if you're a watch enthusiast, just go out there and buy it, add it to your collection just because everyone needs to have one? So packaging, so it comes in this clear, half clear, half blue plastic container. Open it up from the top, slide out this little drawer, and within the drawer we have this little tag, obviously the watch itself, and then below we have quite a surprising amount of paperwork really. And the module that is in the F-91W is the Casio F-91W module, so that's the paperwork for that. Right, let's move all that out of the way and let's think about the watch itself. So if I just pop it on my about 7¼ inch wrist, let's discuss some of the specs. So it is so lightweight, easy to wear. Obviously it's quite petite in size as well, but it's the kind of watch that is just, you can wear it all day long without any issues whatsoever, which is, really impressive. Usually by the end of the day I'm sort of getting a bit itchy on my wrist, want to take my watch off, but it's not the case with this watch. You literally don't even feel it. That's because it's only 20 grams in weight, which is one of the lightest watches I've ever reviewed. But also the size, 34mm in diameter, a height of 8.5mm, and then a lug to lug length of 35mm. It's very small. If you've got a gigantic wrist, it will probably look pretty silly, but on every normal size wrist, it's going to be perfectly fine really. Water resistance is a mere 30 meters or 3 atmospheres. Notice on the front it says actually just water resist, not like water. Doesn't have any sort of particular depth rating on it at all. So technically it is only splash resistant, so don't get it wet, submerged as such. But if you do, obviously it is less than a tenner, so it's not the end of the world really. The lug width itself, so within the lugs is 18mm there and there. Obviously the outside is ever so slightly wider. However, I highly doubt you'll want to change the strap. It's so comfortable, and also if the strap breaks, don't worry about it, just buy another watch because it's so cheap. Warranty of 2 years as well, which is pretty phenomenal considering how cheap it is. I personally, if it does break, I wouldn't even bother going through the warranty. I would just go out and buy a new one, because what's the point in all the hassle when you could just literally go buy a new one. So the case and the strap is made of resin, really soft, and the strap itself really supple, very comfortable to wear. And the I want to say crystal. It's not really a crystal, but the plastic front is called the window lens, and that's a shatter-resistant acrylic. Now, it's not necessarily scratch-resistant, albeit being shatter-resistant, because as you can see down here, I have a pretty neat battle scar down there already. So I've obviously just knocked it whilst doing something or other. I don't even remember doing it, but there you go. So the movement is the Casio Module 593, as we've already mentioned. A couple of cool things to be aware of. If you press all the buttons together, it will show all of the digits at once. So there we go. And then you can press another digit just to reset it. And then another one is if you press the bottom right button for 3 seconds, it says Casio. And believe it or not, this proves that it is genuine, because despite the price, there are fakes of these out there, which is pretty unreal really when you're considering how cheap the original is. The battery life is a whopping 7 years, which is pretty incredible. However, many people report that you can get up to 10 years, which is quite impressive. So really, for a tenner, you're getting a watch which is going to last you for so long as you take relatively good care of it. So impressive. One other thing, a game. I don't know if you ever played this game, but when I was younger, I certainly did. Two games, actually. So first of all, can you get it bang on 1 second? Oh, look at that. 101. Oh, so that's a great game. That used to keep me entertained for hours. And then the second game is how low can you stop the stopwatch? So if you got it sort of... Oh, that was a rubber one. Here we go. Right. This is the one. This is the one, guys. Oh. Ooh, 11. If you got it under 10 hundredths of a second, then yeah, you're officially a ninja. That was a cool game. That used to keep me entertained for hours as well when I was a young boy and useful. Okay, so let's discuss the watch in a little bit closer detail. In particularly the case to begin with. So pretty funky, sort of angular, square, rectangular base. Reminds me a little bit of what a cushion case looks like. I mean, it was designed in 1991, and it's quite phenomenal, really, that it hasn't changed one bit in over 25 years. So, it certainly does have quite a 90s hues to it, but, that's coming back into fashion, and it looks cool now still, which is really, really impressive. Lots of little detailing around, little, like, channels and dents around the outside of the case. Drilled through lugs as well, which is quite impressive, really, if you did want to change the strap. The pushers are just straightforward steel cylinders for you just to press. So nothing too exciting there, but easy to use and good response. And obviously the beeping is quite a cool thing. I think you can turn that off as well in the settings. So the case, yeah, very lightweight, stainless steel case back as well, secured with just 4 screws with some detailing in the middle as well. Nothing too exciting, however, it's good to see the good build quality of it, really. Next, the dial. These details surrounding the outside, all relatively crisply printed. I really like the LCD module as well. The actual lines are so clean and crisp. It's really, really clear and so easy to read. No matter what lighting it is, if it's really, really reflective, no matter what angle it is as well, it's always so crisp and clean and clear. Obviously, the acrylic will be helpful for that because that naturally is quite clear itself. It doesn't really reflect as much as a sapphire or a mineral crystal would. But just the module itself, obviously, the all of the digits are just really, really crisp, and we'll have a look at that with a macro lens on in a little bit. The light is pretty rubbish. So it's a tiny, tiny little LED on the left-hand side when you're pressing this top left corner. So when it's really dark and you press the light, you can just about make out the time. So, it's don't assume that it's really good, because it's not. It's pretty, really rubbish. Moving on to the strap then, resin as well, and as I mentioned before, really, really comfortable, very, very supple. It molds to the wrist so nicely. The buckle is plastic, so if anything is going to break, this could be a likely contender. Has Casio nice and deeply engraved on the end there, though. Obviously, it must be molded if it's plastic. But it's just so easy and light to use. Only comes with one keeper. So if you do have a gigantic wrist, it probably will only go up to, if you've got over a 7.5-inch wrist, it will be quite tight. However, you probably won't be wearing one of these watches anyway. So it is quite a reasonably, has a smaller than average length strap, but I find that actually aids to the comfort because this tail end is quite close and quite short, so that's a good plus. On the strap we have these various bits of detailing as well, which keeps things interesting. These like horizontal channels, and then this curved channel going along the central line as well on both ends. So yeah, it keeps everything nice and interesting, draws the eye to the watch as well. which is pretty neat. Okay, so let's get the macro lens on then, and let's have a look at it in much closer detail. Let's see how it stacks up. Starting off with the dial. So here you can see how crisp the numbers are. And moving. Let's have a look at this light. Just a little like green LED on the side there. Moving down here. Here's my scratch. You can see that the crystal is ever so slightly raised, so obviously that is going to be a culprit, key reason why it does get a fair amount of scratches. And then moving on to the side, here's some of our pushers. And just the moulding of our case. Looks very, very nice and neat. Obviously, they've been doing this since 1991, so they've had a good chance to get everything as good as possible, but as cheap as possible. Here's our lug with our drill through hole. And then flipping it over, have a look at our case back. There we go. Some details there. On our brushed case back with some screws in the corner, keeping it in. Moving on to the strap, you can see the soft kind of texture to it. Really nice on the skin this is. As I mentioned before, so easy to wear all day long. No issues with that whatsoever. And on the underside, got some, I'm not entirely sure what these details refer to. 18 I assume means to 18mm. And then finally our buckle with Casio sort of embossed inside it. Okay, there we go. So I've had this for a good number of months, probably even a year to be honest, and I find myself that every weekend I wear it. It might be because, you know, I do quite a few jobs around the house, I walk the dog as well, but this is always my go-to watch for those jobs. I've got a bigger G-Shock as well, which is you know, one of the really nice G-Shocks, which I could wear that, but there's something about this, you know, the fact that it's only less than £10 or $15, it's almost, you know, expendable because it's so cheap. And yet there's something, it is a cult classic, and there's something that pulls me to it. I just love it. It's so easy to wear, so easy to read. It reminds me a little bit of my childhood, so obviously it has that element behind it as well. But it's just perfect. It's a perfect watch for doing exercise, for walking the dog, for doing gym, for doing DIY, anything like that. And really, there's no reason why you shouldn't buy one. Let's face it. It sits happily in the watch box. Obviously, it's not the most impressive looking watch unless you're a hipster. It's not going to win any design. Well, it probably has won design awards in the past, but nowadays, you know, it's not out there to impress in terms of design. It's just out there to be a solid, dependable, cheap watch, and it does that perfectly. So I really, really love it. And you know, for the price, it'd just be silly not to have one of these in your collection at the end of the day. So this was the Casio F-91W, a real cult classic, and that's what it's all about. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Take it easy. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.